Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cooking from Quarantine. Today we are going to make crab cakes. Crab cakes seem like one of those recipes that you sort of only order in restaurants and never seem to make at home, because it always seems like there's a lot of different ingredients in it that you probably wouldn't have in the house. And I guess depending on how you like your crab cakes, that could be true. But I actually find that they're really easy to make. If you can make a meatball, you can make a crab cake. And they're way better for you. And especially when it's kind of like weird, depressing times, it's really nice to have something that tastes fresh and spring summery and has really bright flavors in it. So there's a few steps to making this, and I'll tell you which ingredients we can swap out and which ones are keepers. So first of all, I'm using a pound of crab meat. This is obviously essential to the process. So this is 1 pound of, I got a pouch of crab meat. It was delivered by Baldor Foods, and it's super yummy. It's claw meat. And you just kind of pick through it before you're ready to use it to make sure there's no shells or anything kind of weird in there because it is fresh. So you do have to go through it. We need 1 egg, any kind of egg will do, 1 lemon. I have already pre-chopped very, very finely 2 scallions, not the dark green parts, mostly just the white. Half of a Granny Smith apple. I've actually grated it down so that it's super fine. 2 stalks of celery and 2 carrots, also grated very finely because I want the flavors that I'm using in this to be on the sweeter side. So make sure you separate them out from the rest of your ingredients because we're going to cook these down before adding them to the crab cake mixture. So that's scallions, half an apple, 2 carrots, 2 stalks of celery. I have Sweet Baby Ray's honey mustard. I just had it in my fridge, and for some reason I don't have regular mustard in my fridge. I had this, and I had mustard seeds, but no way to pulverize them. So I'm using this. If you've got mustard in the house, any kind of mustard you like, probably a whole grain, like really spicy mustard would be better in this, but like again, we're using what we have in the house. Mayo, whatever mayo you like. We're only using a little bit of these, so it doesn't really matter. Worcestershire sauce I happen to have, so I want to cook through it, but you can certainly skip that step if you'd like. A little bit of flour we're going to need. We're also going to need some plain breadcrumbs. I'm using panko because they aren't seasoned, and so we can control the seasoning that's going into our crab cakes. But you could use whatever you like. But these are super crunchy, and they have no flavor, so fantastic. I'm using white pepper. I happen to like white pepper with fish better than black pepper. I don't know why, I just do, but if you want to use black pepper or cayenne pepper, go for it. I'm going to be using celery salt instead of regular salt, just because I think it would add like a nice brightness to the flavors that I'm already using. But if you don't have celery salt in the house and you want to use regular kosher salt, go for it. So there's lots of different ways we can make this. You can leave out items, you can keep items, but as long as we kind of end up in this neighborhood, we're in good shape. So the first thing we're going to do is cook down the raw vegetables so that when we fry up the crab cakes, we don't have to do a like deep fry and really let them sit in oil and get kind of greasy. We can do a lighter fry that's more like a saute, and everything will still be cooked inside. So I'll meet you back over at the stove while we sweat out our veggies. So we have I'm using a cast iron skillet because this is what I'm going to be cooking my crab cakes in later, and it's super easy to use. This is a Le Creuset skillet, but use whatever you like. It doesn't really matter. I think it gets a really nice fry, so that's why I'm using it. And I'm putting just a little bit of my favorite olive oil Jones, into the bottom of the pan. Probably help if we turn the heat on our pan first. There we go. Putting a medium-low flame on it. We don't want to burn or brown our veggies. We're just looking to sweat them a little to get the raw flavor cooked off. Whoop. Almost lost my olive oil. So we're just going to wait for the bottom of our pan to heat up, and then we're going to toss all the veggies and apple in at once. And the idea is just to draw the sweetness out of them and to cook off that raw flavor. I'm also going to grab our celery salt and our white pepper because everything that we put in to the crab cakes should be flavored, not just the kind of end result. So okay, let's throw everybody in. And I had squeezed a little bit of lemon juice on this a little earlier, just the juice of like half a lemon, and that was really just to help preserve the color because I knew that they would be sitting out for a while I prepped everything and got ready to talk to you and film this, etc. So they already have a little lemon on them. You can do that while you're prepping your food or not. It's a step that you can absolutely skip if you're kind of short on lemons. Okay, we're going to add a little bit of celery salt to this, just a pinch, just to help draw out the water that's in these veggies. Little pinch of white pepper. And again, the idea is not to get any of this golden brown. It's just to get the veggies soft and a little closer to translucent so that when we fry up our crab cakes, the insides aren't raw. We can do a quick fry instead of like a grease ball fry. And I'll show you what's going on in my pan. Getting great color on all of this. I really love the addition of using a Granny Smith apple in this. I don't really recommend using a really sweet apple for a few reasons. First of all, the sweeter the apples are, the more pectin I believe they have in them, or certainly more sugar they have in them. So at the very least, I don't want this dish to be overly sweet because it is still a savory dish, and crab meat in and of itself is a very sweet flavor. So I'm not looking to add so much sweetness to this, but Granny Smith apples strike that really good balance between sweet and savory because, you know, they are like a more tart varietal. Okay, and I just want to show you how long we're cooking this for, which is to say not very long at all. Just until everything gets a little more soft. And the great thing about crab cakes is that you can actually, you can prep them all in advance, and you can then just fry them up as soon as you're ready to use them, because we're going to let them rest in the fridge for a while anyway, before we get them back into the pan. So if you want to do it the night before, if you want to do it a few hours before, and then like once company arrives, you just quickly throw them onto the fryer, and then you serve all of them hot at once, like perfect. You can make little crab sliders that way. They're actually a very, like kind of easy to manage dish. I find people don't really like cooking seafood at home, and usually they'll tell you because they don't want the smell of fish cooking in their house, but I think the real reason is that people are like a little bit afraid of cooking fish at home. It's a little daunting, but it's an ingredient like everything else. It is a little more delicate. Fish is not as impervious to heat as steak is. Steak is, you know, there's minutes between overcooking. With fish, there's seconds. But this is the kind of dish that's, you're not going to overcook a crab cake. And, like, if you did a little bit, it kind of wouldn't matter. Okay, let me show you what this looks like because this is looking about done to me. So see, all of the veggies are just kind of softer and a little more translucent, but nothing's particularly browned yet. So we're going to shut the flame off of our veggies, and I'm going to add them into our bowl to start cooling down and coming to room temperature. So I will meet you back at the countertop when we assemble our crab cakes. So while we let our veggies cool and kind of come closer down to room temperature, we're going to put together the rest of the crab cake mixture. So the first thing we're going to do is crack our egg onto the counter so that no shrapnel gets in to our bowl. You also always want to try and crack your egg first before doing anything else, because just in case you get a bad egg, you don't then like ruin the dish that you're creating. So always use the egg first. Just to give it, just run a quick egg check. We're gonna put in just like a little dollop of mustard. I'm gonna call it about a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. Mayonnaise, I am low on mayonnaise to begin with, and I don't think that crab cake should be a mayo-heavy dish. So most recipes call for like close to a cup. I'm doing more like 3 tablespoons because I think the predominant flavor in the dish should be, there we go, should be the crab itself. Get this all kind of mixed together. Add the Worcestershire, so all of our wet ingredients going in at once so that we can, we're just using a couple splashes of the Worcestershire. Like I said, it's, if you don't want to skip it, I think it adds an interesting kind of depth of flavor experience. So a teaspoon is fine. Get all of this mixed up because we want our egg nice and mixed together. Grab our white pepper and celery salt, back off the countertop. Okay, throwing in all of our crab meat. If you do come across shells while you're picking through your crab meat, shells are actually the kind of thing you can save and throw into stock. I realized that a shrimp dish I'm going to be making later, that I ordered shrimp that I thought I was ordering peeled and veined shrimp. I did not, so I'm going to be using those shells to make a stock, which was an idea that my friend Sean brought up while we were talking about our favorite shrimp flavors. But, you know, I almost never have a reason to use seafood stock, so, like, if you don't want to save the dregs of your shellfish, it's like, I won't think any less of you. Okay, a little bit of celery salt, just like a big pinch. Some white pepper, like a really good pinch. I like them peppery. If you want to add a little Tabasco sauce in, like, do your thing. That'll only help. Okay, now we're going to add our veggies back in. I left them by my open window to cool, because you don't want to add anything warm back into raw egg, lest you accidentally scramble. Okay, getting all that good stuff together. It's looking really good. It smells so springy and bright. Really like fresh flavors. I don't love like the flavor of Old Bay seasoning and things like that. If you wanted to, you could put that in here. You could add paprika, you could add cayenne pepper. You could make this a more seasoned dish. I happen to like the flavor of crab so much that I want that to be the big show. I don't really see crab as like a vehicle for other flavors. I'm trying to take out, here we go, my panko breadcrumbs. We're going to be using like not a lot, a half a cup at most. And as you can see, like I'm not measuring anything, so this is roughly half a cup. Throwing it in. Get this mixed up. And just like making hamburgers, you want every bite that you take to taste good and to taste like everything that's in here. So you want to make sure you mix everything well. Okay, I know that there's raw egg in here, but I'm still going to try it anyway because we have to flavor our food. It's really good. I think it could use actually some more regular salt, not just the celery salt. The apple in here is so good. It's such a little like surprise of a flavor. stops it from tasting like kind of basic bitch crab cakes and adds a special little like, ooh, somebody did something special to these. Okay. And now we're going to just juice 1 lime into this. That's not a good knife. That's a knife. That's a knife. Am I too old to be quoting Crocodile Hunter? I might be too young to be quoting Crocodile Hunter. Okay. Juice of half a lemon. Other half a lemon. These are going to be flavorful little suckers. Okay, give it one more good mix. Smells so great. Fish should not smell particularly fishy if it's fresh. It should smell like the ocean, but it should not smell like that crazy kind of tuna fishy smell. That means that you're in trouble. Okay. So we have the egg in here, which is going to help bind everything together. So will the breadcrumbs, actually. And so we're going to break this into, like, I don't know, I think this is going to yield roughly 6 patties, little cakes. I actually think smaller is better in this case, but remember, they are going to shrink as we cook them. So just like making really like hamburger patties, yeah, I think that's a terrific size. Okay. We're just going to kind of pachi them together. See, kind of flatten them out. And you want them as uniform as possible, but like, don't be a hero. This is still home cooking. If some of them are like a little bit weirdly sized or shaped, like, it is what it is. We're just doing our best. Oh, and I think I felt something sharp along the way. I did. Ah, you see? There's always a little something. And I picked over this before I started cooking, but it is seafood, so every once in a while you get a shell, a bone, or something. It's part of the fun, part of the adventure. Okay, so I'm going to continue making these patties. Then I'm going to throw them into the fridge, just like this, uncovered, for about 30 minutes to let them chill. And I will meet you back here when they are done chilling. Okay, we have let our crab cakes cool in the refrigerator for roughly 30 minutes. And we have set up a little station on our counter that I will show you. We have our crab cakes, our flour, which I mixed a little bit of white pepper into, a plate for when they come off the pan, and our cast iron pan. So we have all of this kind of set up and ready to roll so that we don't lose any good crab cakes to the cause. So we're going to put a medium-high heat on, and we're going to use 2 different kinds of fats to heat these crab cakes. We're going to use a combination of both butter and olive oil. I think, first of all, it tastes better that way, but second of all, they have, if we're speaking scientifically, they have 2 different heat thresholds. And so since they cook at different temperatures, they won't burn, they won't, they kind of keep each other in check, these 2 fats. Yeah, they do. Okay. So we're going to get the bottom of our dish, our pan, nice and hot. And what we're going to do is take 1 patty, drop it into our flour mixture, turn it over, really press it in. Kind of shake off any excess, like pachi, just clap it out until we have a dry looking dude. And then we put it directly down into our pan to start cooking. And we don't want to overcrowd the pan. See, it just starts cooking around the edges. It's probably going to be about 3 minutes per side to get these bad boys cooked. And I think I'm only going to put 2 in the pan at a time, just to make sure they both get their day in the sun. Okay, these are falling apart a little bit, but it's okay. I don't think the Zagat people are going to care much that our homemade crab cakes are falling apart just a little. Should I put a third in? Yeah, I've got room for a third. A third won't cramp anybody's style. Let's do it. And just keep track of who we put in first, because that's who's getting flipped first. There we go. And the whole key to frying things, particularly when you're using flour, is to try to keep one hand clean and one hand not clean, so that just kind of makes you able to work a little better, a little smarter. Okay, let me show you what's going on in our pan. We have our three little crab cakes getting happy in the pan. This guy is the one we threw in first, so that's going to be the one we flip first. I don't even see the sides getting cooked up just yet, so I'm hesitant to mess with it too much. You can hear we're starting to really get some cooking sounds going. And really what we're trying to do is just cook off that raw flour flavor, get a nice little golden brown crust on them. All right. Let's see. So I think this one is a little underdone. It's kind of like making pancakes. Sometimes you have to throw away the first pancake. We're not throwing away the first crab cake, but we do now have an idea of how long it's taking them to get nice and hot in our pan. This was the second guy we put in. And it smells so good in here. Should we? One's a little more golden, but we're going to wait on the next one. Yeah, this takes roughly three minutes per side in order to get the right golden brown crust going. So I'm going to take the rest of these, dredge them, drop them into the pan, and fry them up, and I will come back to you and show you what our finished product looks like. So here we are with our finished crab cake. You can see all the nice little veggies and the apple that we have mixed inside. Let's give it a little taste. Nice golden brown color. Tastes like summertime. The celery mixed with the apple, those fresh flavors mixed with the crab, that little hint of mustard. It'll probably be a while till we're taking a vacation to Cape Cod or Maryland or anybody else that happens to do crab cakes really, really well, but we can make them at home and they are completely delicious. So enjoy cooking from quarantine. These were our crab cakes. Let me know if you made them and how they came out. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.